G'day everyone, we're in Nepal en route to Lukla, the gateway to Everest. We're flying a PAC 750 X-Stol. I'm in the left seat, pilot flying, and my colleague on the right is PNF, pilot not flying. I'll talk you through the approach. We've already been handed over from Kathmandu control to monitor Lukla Tower on 120.15. We're unable to contact the tower yet as we're obstructed by mountains, but we monitor the frequency and communicate with any outbound traffic. Kathmandu control will pass any traffic information for our frequency change. Lukla can get very busy with aircraft movements as there's typically a small window to operate with a lot of people and cargo to move. By mid to late morning, the sun has reached most of the valley, causing anabatic winds, and the landing tailwind gets too strong. We're about to cross Tuxandula Pass. You can see the temple hopefully highlighted there on the left. Most single-engine fixed-wing flights in Nepal are operated as two crew. In this flight, my colleague is PNF and will work the radios and be a second pair of eyes to help locate any traffic. We're now in an area known as north of Paplu and Gumba. This is where we make our initial contact with Lukla Tower. They'll advise us of the wind at Lukla, pass on any traffic information and ask us to report entering the valley. For our navigation, we have two Garmin GPS systems, an EHSI, second VOR and an ADF. The aircraft is IFR equipped, though all flights into stall fields are strictly VFR. You can see the terrain guidance depicted on the GPS. All the red you see is high terrain, which is everywhere. Once we cross this ridge, we'll begin our descent and start getting set up for our approach. Lukla is coming into view now. We will report entering the valley and the tower will advise us to report on base. We keep to the west or left side of the valley for a couple of reasons. It gives us the most room for our approach, and you can be passing outbound traffic and need the best separation possible. And if we need to turn back for any reason, we have plenty of room to do so. The aim from here is to keep our descent going and aim towards this rock face, and we want to be at 9,500 feet when we begin our turn to finals for runway 06. I'm setting the rudder trim and we'll make our radio call on base. The tower will advise us to report final. I'm a little lower than I want to be here, so I'll keep my speed up just slightly and lower my flaps to nudge us back on profile. Now just did our final checks, prop, fuel, flaps, brake. Now we're perfectly set up as we turn on to finals. Our go-around decision must be made early here. About when we cross the Dudkoshi River below, we should be at 9,300 feet and stable. If not, we'll veer right initially, then make a left turn through 270 degrees and head back down the valley. But to be honest, if you're not stabilised by your turn on to finals, don't risk it, just go around, have another go. As we complete our turn on to finals, about 500 feet per minute rated descent works for these light winds. 85 knots is our final approach speed. You can see my left hand and thumb there flicking the trim just to keep us on profile. The tower will inform us of the wind and let us know the runway is clear. The tower is a flight service, so no clearances are given. As we approach the threshold, I'll keep power on initially during round out and flare just to keep elevator authority, then into beta on touchdown. It's about now all the claps and cheers start and your ego goes through the roof. But this flight's a cargo flight with beer and noodles. Yeah, they don't clap. As we pull into the apron, flick the lights off, you'll see there's a Dornier ready to go, so we'll follow behind them to keep out of each other's way. It can get very hectic here during rush hour. The idea is to look for the guys in high vis for taxi guidance and wingtip clearance. You'll be able to see them in front of the building shortly. And I'll just keep an eye on the wingtip of that Dornier as it goes past. Pretty handy being the only low wing aircraft in the country. Everything else is high wing. And there goes our guys guiding us around. Now we park her up, prop into feather, set our heading bug and trims for takeoff, then shut her down. I'll leave the masters and avionics one on just to keep the EHSI aligned, otherwise it can take too long on startup and timing's critical on the ground. We've always got aircraft coming in. Can you see the chopper there coming in from the left of screen? Once she's landed, the Dornier will take off. There goes the Dornier, heading back to Kathmandu. The PNF is filling out the flight logs. Meanwhile, I'll be talking with our load manager about the return flight cargo, if any. Now's the best part for me. Silence at Lukla. I'll have a few minutes to myself, sip a cup of tea the Kai and ground staff have made, admire that view, catch my breath before jumping back in for the return leg. During peak flow, you're allocated only 5 minutes of ground time because there are aircraft literally on approach wanting your parking spot. With cargo, we try to time our arrivals between the passenger flights to maximise ground time and reduce the workload on staff. Flying in the Himalayas brings many challenges and must be treated with the utmost respect. Discipline is mandatory. Do that and you'll be rewarded with some flying you simply could not experience anywhere else in the world. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Hooroo.